What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? We are live, but we are having a little issue here with our headphone connection on the phone. Let me see if we can fix that real quick. Give me a quick second here as we get set up and we go live. So today we're going to talk about how we book more appointments. And so let's jam. Let's rock it, baby. So let's jam about how do we book more appointments, because right now real estate is tough, and I'm talking to prospects, I'm talking to clients, I'm talking to people all day long saying we are having a challenge booking appointments, and that is not cool. That is just not cool for school. So we don't want that. We want you guys to be booking appointments. We want you guys to be making sales. We want you guys to be getting in front of prospects, future clients, and helping them. And the way we do that is by we reduce sales resistance, right? So how do we reduce sales resistance on a phone call? And the guys, I know you guys are like, Vic, you're beating the drum of sales calls. Why do we talk about sales calls so much? Why do we talk about sales calls? Well, it's because so many people still open the sales call with the same thing, right? So many people still open the sales call with like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm just checking up on you. Hey, I'm just following up. Hey, my CRM said that I had a ding pop. I had a client that I was working with last year, and I said, let's go. Let's role play a call. They're like, what? Like, let's role play a call. Like, you say you make hundreds of calls a week to your database. Let's role play a call. And he's like, all right, cool. I'm like, do you need to pull up a script or anything? He's like, no, I got it, bro. It's in my head. I'm ready. And he was booking, 1 to 2 appointments a week, and he was having just his face kicked into the wall, right? Or as Ray Care says, rip your face off your face type of experiences. And he was exhausted all the time, right? Well, he was opening up his calls like this with prospects that he'd met at open houses, with prospects he had met online, with prospects that he had met from, expireds or canceled. And they said, hey, we're not ready, or whatever their objection was. He wasn't able to get in front of them. And I know why, and we'll get into that in a second, but it was always the same thing. It was ring, ring. Person would be like, hello. He'd be like, oh, hi, Mr. Smith. And the prospect would be like, yeah, who's this? He's like, oh, hey, it's Johnny. You had told me to call you back. I'm the friendly real estate agent from the neighborhood. Remember, we met at an open house a while ago, and well, yeah, remember we had a great conversation, and you told me to call you back in July. And the prospect was like, oh, yeah. Oh, and if you guys hear the tone, like you can hear the life being sucked out of me, right? But this prospect wasn't consciously listening, right? So they didn't have conscious listening down. And what else were they missing? Well, they were missing conscious questions and conscious tone, right? They weren't building trust, so they weren't getting into rapport, so they had no influence. And so they would go on and on and on, and the prospect would be like, well, we're just going to wait. We're not interested. Or they would say, well, we already bought months ago, right? Which is like, I don't know which one's worth. We're going to wait, or we already bought. Like, I don't know. Both of them suck, right? But he was making hundreds of calls a week, but he wasn't getting any results. Why? Because, well, let's just break that call down. One, does a prospect know and or care that you're calling because your CRM said so? Like if I called you and I'm like, hey, I'm just calling to follow up because my system told you to call, do you feel like a human, or do you feel like you're less than, right? How do you feel, like human or less than? So first he was making them feel less than, making them feel like they weren't important, like what they weren't even a human being, right? Then he was like, oh, Mr. Smith, right? Like trying to be all formal and overly polite. Well, they don't really care about you, and they don't want to ask, they don't want to answer your questions that you ask unless they trust you, right? So you're building more resistance by saying, hey, how are you today? Right now, some people, right? Some people that'll work with, but Majority of people are going to be like, yo, get to the point, please. I'm busy. I got other things. I know you're a salesperson calling me. Like, why did I pick up this call? Oh my God, I shouldn't have picked up this call. And you're going to just be stuck trying to then combat them into an appointment. Well, you told me to call you back, right? I've had this happen. Role playing with the prospect or with the client. And I'm like, yeah, we're not interested. Like, well, you told me to call you back now. Like, when are you going to be interested to buy it? I'm like, whoa, bro, chill out. You're like, why are you so angry? Like, why are you so angry here? Like, these are people that potentially want to give you tens and thousands of dollars and you're yelling at them. Like, where's your listening at? Like, where's tone at? Like, where's your questions at? Right. So what we train inside the Real Estate Sales Academy and what I train with my one-on-one clients is how do we have a better tone? Because believe it or not, tonality is something that is missed so much by great human beings that want to help people, but you trigger because of the tone you're using, right? If you're using a monotone tone, or if you're using a very boring tone, or if you're using a very energetic tone, hey, how you doing today? I'm going to call and sell your house, right? Like you're triggering the prospect to put up red flags like, whoa, this person's salesy. Believe it or not, we were role playing yesterday with some of my clients inside the Real Estate Sales Academy, and we were role playing. And one of my clients is super smooth. Like this dude sold Cutco knives. Shout out to Cutco. I keep dropping my little fidget thingy. Shout outs to Cutco. You guys, if you don't know, if you're new here, I love Cutco knives. I love the training there. But this dude was used to hammering out hundreds. And you guys, today I don't have anybody behind the camera, so if you're asking questions, I'll respond. Actually, if you're asking questions, I don't know if I can see them on the live. So you're gonna have to send me a DM with the questions so I can answer them for you, because I'm looking at the back of the cameras and I can't see your questions. Alrighty. So just want to throw that out there. But if you guys want some information about the Real Estate Sales Academy, just go to Instagram and drop me a DM and just type in Sales Academy and I will get you guys more information, or one of the people on my team will get you some more information. So this guy's smooth, right? This guy's smooth. He's got the voice. He's got the confidence. He's got the swag, right? He did like $12.5 million in his first 7 months of sales. I mean, he is just good, right? Real good. In fact, he was too good, because what happened is that his smoothness at first was great because he was talking to people he knew, right? He was excited. They were excited. They were excited to help him. And then he started moving to people he didn't know, right? In the world that we live in, you have two circles. You have the people you know, right, which is a small circle. And then you have the people you don't know, which is a bigger circle. Well, when people know you, right, like in this circle, guess what? They already have trust with you, right? They already trust you because they know you. So they're already in rapport with you. But the people you don't know, well, do you think they trust you? Absolutely not. So when you're super smooth and you're just nailing every line and you ain't got no pauses, you don't say, you don't have any stutters, and you're just like, bam, 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 bam. One, it could feel like an interrogation, which his didn't, but it can feel like an interrogation. And two, when you're so smooth, it actually triggers your prospect to think that you're a sleazy salesperson, potentially. And instead of them being excited to talk to you, and instead of them being excited for the call, and again, you do $12 million in your first 6 months, a couple of things. He studied the contracts. He knows the market. He knows the things that are happening in the economy. I mean, he is on point. But because he's so smooth, prospects were not showing up to appointments. Right? So you want to slow things down. Hey, Chris? Yeah. Hey, Chris Smith? Yeah, who's this? Hey, this is just Vikram from the Real Estate Sales Academy. You probably don't remember us talking a few months ago, but I'm just reaching back out because I was curious. Do you need some more help with sales, or have you already found what you're looking for? Right? Versus ring, ring. Hey, Chris. Hey, what's up, man? It's just Vikram, bro. Like my system popped up, told me to call you back. Like, yeah, I love Grant Cardone, but if you guys have ever got a call from Grant Cardone's team, they are so aggressive, and there is a market for that, I'm sure, but that's just not how I jive. Like, I love Grant. I follow Grant. I think Grant's awesome. He's done amazing things, obviously, in his life, super successful, incredibly intelligent, great family man, appears to be a good husband, father, works out, into health and wellness and all the things. But his salespeople call and it's like, man, I feel so little. It's like, bro, you ready to sign up for the 10X conference? What? And I'm like, no, I'm actually not ready to sign up. Why not, man? Aren't you ready to take your life to the next level and pump up? And I'm like, dude, chill the plane out, please. Like, yo, like, do you even know why I was interested? Do you know like what I was thinking? Do you know where I was at in life? Do you know what my emotions were, my pains? No, you don't. You just think because I'm on your list, right? Like, you're a 20-year-old, 18-year-old, 23-year-old kid that doesn't know what I've been through in life. And you're just like, and I start pumping up, like, no, not going to work. And I've never been to a conference because I just don't want to be taught that style. Right. So when you guys are talking to your prospects, humanize them. These are people that raised their hand, came to an open house, filled out your online form, right? Maybe you cold called them. Maybe they're a door knock and you reached out to them, but you got them to give you their information and they are now in your system, but they don't know what that means. And they're not being humanized, right? Or we get really weird. Like one of my guys that I'm training right now, he's super cool, calm, collected. But the minute he pretends that he's in a work situation, because he was trained by somebody who's like, yo, when you're in work, you got to be in work mode. You got to be like super aggressive, like super professional. And I'm like, bro, you need to chill. You need to chill out. Like, put your hands on your heart, do some kumbayas, get some movement in there, right? Like, loosen up a little bit, bro. We're not going to war. We're just having conversations with real estate agents who want to make more money so they can have more life. They can have more freedom. They could take their daughter to Disneyland, or they could take their wife to Hawaii. Like, we're not changing brain chemistry here, y'all. We are changing brain chemistry, but we're not doing brain surgery. I'm like, it's cool to be chill, bro. He's like, oh, you're right. I'm like, dude, just like pretend like you're talking to your friend at the bar after like 16 beers. Like, be more laid back, right? Be more laid back. So, when you guys are calling your prospects, right? We're going to make this one short. When you guys are calling your prospects, and that's what we work on in the Real Estate Sales Academy, because if you can't book appointments, it doesn't matter that we have the greatest things out there. If you can't book appointments, right? Like buyer presentations, seller presentations, none of that matters. If you can't connect and build trust and rapport, none of that matters, right? Like you're not going to get your prospect to deal with you because they're going to go to somebody else. If you can't figure out where they're at, where they want to go, you can't figure out what their motivation level is. If you can't figure out how to create a little bit of pain in their life to book the appointment, if you can't make yourself the expert at some point in the call, not at the beginning, but at some point in the call when it's appropriate, you're not going to book more appointments. Right? But just the opening 5 sentences, most salespeople, right, or quasi salespeople lose the prospect and lose any chance of actually booking a sales call or booking a presentation or booking a buyer's demo, right? So it's just super simple. Ring, ring. Hey, Chris. Yeah. Chris Smith. Yeah. Hey, it's just Vikram with Real Brokers. The reason I'm calling today, right, is I'm calling today because you had inquired about buying a home in Clyde Hill a few months ago. And I was just wondering, I was just curious if you're still looking or if you've already bought something. Right. And most people will say, oh, no, I'm still looking. Oh, okay, cool. I'm curious, like, why are you guys looking for homes now? Right. I'm curious, like, where do you guys live right now? Like, what's causing you to want to look at a home? Oh, well, our home's super small. We have 3 bedrooms. I work from home. My wife works from home. We share the kitchen table. We really would love an extra bedroom that we can make an office, or we'd love like a couple extra rooms that we can make an office, or 2 offices and a bonus room or something. We went from, 1 kid to 3 kids in this house, so we got more kids. We work from home 3 days a week. We got 2 dogs. We don't have any space for any guests. We don't have any space for our parents or, in-laws. We don't have any space for the grandparents. Like, the kitchen's pretty small. Like we're just ready to get a big home. And we know what people are going to say right now, like, but we're not in a rush because, the market's kind of floozy and the interest rates are kind of floozy, blah, blah, blah. Right. You guys, those are just things we can't change. Those are things we can't change, but we can change where they live, right? We can at least help see their motivation if you ask the right questions. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I totally understand that interest rates are weird. The market's kind of crazy, but I'm curious, like, what's it causing your life to be like with you and your wife living in the same room, right? Working out of the same room, like kids are on top of you guys, right? Is that impacting your, oh, well, Vic, it's just more of an inconvenience. Like, what do you mean it's an inconvenience? Well, like my wife and I were constantly like having to pick up our stuff, put it away, pick it up. Kids are hungry. They want to sit, we got 2 to 12, right? They can't have their friends over because it's just chaotic. Oh, wow. That sounds crazy. And how do you feel like that's having an impact on your family? Well, it's causing blah, 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 blah. And how's it impacting you? Oh, well, it's blah, 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 blah. Right. And now we have some pain. Now we have some motivation. Right. So even though interest rates are crazy, even though the market's wild, even though all of this stuff is happening, now they're intrinsically motivated to possibly meeting with you. Now, we don't know if they're going to buy. We don't know if they're going to sell. We don't know if they're going to move. We don't know if they're going to do anything. But if you can't get in front of them, if you can't pull out at least a little bit of emotion and a little bit of pain on the sales call, you are not going to get them in front of you. And then here's what people say. Well, Vic, I don't want to sound scripted. I'm like, well, have you heard how you sound otherwise? Like, well, no, I haven't. I'm like, okay, well, have you ever recorded your call? No, why not? Because you don't want to hear it because it's not going to be very great and you don't want to hear yourself suffer. So you're just like not going to record it. And so then it's like, okay, well, we didn't create any pain. We didn't create any gap with the prospect. So then you're like, well, why don't we just do this? Why don't we get together for like a 5-minute meeting, right? Like, come on, y'all. You ain't going to meet them for 5 minutes. They know you ain't. You've been on the phone for 17 minutes trying to convince them to have an appointment with you. Like, oh, let's just get ready. Let's just get together real quick, like 5 minutes. Like, I'll just take like 5 minutes of your time. And then we'll go over like the buying process and like all this stuff. Like, dude, wait, buying process in 5 minutes? Like, what's your process? Throw darts at the wall and hopefully something sticks? No, like, don't lie to people, right? So you're already starting the relationship off on a bad foot. So when you are not practicing your sales skills, right? When you are not using tonality, right? In Cutco, we had advanced training. So we learned our basic script and then we went back for advanced training. And that's where we learned how to really utilize the script. How do we really utilize the ability to talk to people appropriately, to connect with Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Typically is Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones. We didn't really want Mr. Jones in the kitchen back then. We wanted just Mrs. Jones there. But we had to learn how to talk to her so that she could coach her husband on how she just spent $1,000 on a set of knives 20 years ago, right? Like we had to coach her to talk to her husband. Otherwise, you're going to get a canceled order because the husband comes home. He's like, you spent $1,000 on a set of knives. She's like, actually like 1,700, honey. But I only told you it was 1,000 because I put 700 down in a different way. He's going to flip his wig. So we had to coach her on how to talk to the husband, right? So we had to teach her how to have tonality and how to read body language and all this crap. It's wild, right? It's wild. And that's what good salespeople do. They coach their clients. Right? Like you guys as real estate agents, you have to sometimes coach the listing agent when you send in a low offer, right? Like, hey, I know this offer might be a little bit lower than you expect. But I just want to let you guys know that my client's super serious. We are forecasting the market. We are not trying to insult your people. We think your home's beautiful. We do da-da-da-da-da-da. But if you don't have that conversation with that listing agent and you send over an offer that's 5, 8, 10, 15% below list price, depending on what market you're in. Some markets you can't do that, but other markets you can. If you send in that crazy low offer, that listing agent gets in and like, oh my God, you jerk, you a-hole, you this, you that. Why the hell would you even, you know how bad this is going to make me look, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a conversation with the listing agent and you know how to create trust, rapport, and influence, it's the same process, y'all. It's the same process. Like, hey, you might not want to see this offer, but you told, I know you don't have any other offers. At least you can go back to your client and say, hey, we have a starting point now. Whereas a lot of the neighbors right? A lot of the neighbors that are on the market, they don't even have a starting point. At least we have a starting point. Like, they love your house. They're solid buyers, good people, good agent on the other end, right? Like, it's a clean offer. We should entertain it. But if you don't do that, you're going to get we're not taking this offer. So anyways, I just wanted to make this quick little video for you guys. There's a lot of nuggets in here. Please, 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 if you guys want more training, right? If you want more one-on-one time, if you guys want to bring your sales team in, right, and actually help them utilize the skills necessary in this modern day that we live in, where old techniques just don't work, right? Forward questions are great, but they don't really work. Assumptive closing, right? It's great if they already like you, right? If you're on a listing presentation, you might say something like, "Oh, well, we'll schedule the stager to come tomorrow and the photographer to come here and blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "Well, yeah, that's all great and all, but we haven't decided if we're going to use you." You're like, "Well, no big deal. If you don't want to use me, I'll just cancel them and blah, blah, blah." And they're like feeling more and more pressure because you're not asking the questions the right way. You're not saying things the right way. And you're just trying to force yourself on them. And they don't really like that. It doesn't really work in this modern day of selling that we live in. Anyways, you guys, hope you have a great day. Hope you book some appointments between now and our next live. Do me a favor. If you guys want some help and you want to learn more about the Real Estate Sales Academy, we actually have it on a very good price right now. We're actually launching a really cool program called the Trim Method. It's going to be something like 30 to 40 hours of really great training on tonality, on body language, on language questions and language patterns, things of that nature. You might want to look into it. Anyways, peace out. Talk to you later.